Hi guys, I hope you're having an amazing day today. In this video, I'm going to be doing a viewer request topic and looking into the question, what is this person's karma for betraying you or breaking your heart? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Amethyst. Group 2 is the Topaz. And group 3 is the Prehnite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Amethyst. So let's get right into it. The person on your mind that has betrayed you in the past or that broke your heart, what is their karma for their behavior, for how they treated you? Okay, we have the Fate, the Patron, the Musician, and the Pilgrim. So there's a sense here with the Musician and the Fate that this person is going to have to face the music in some way that ties into not necessarily what they put you through, but kind of the path that they have forged for themselves up to this point in life in general. It's the idea here of they may have been living like a double life or kind of just got used to screwing people over to get their way, kind of using people as stepping stones to further their own success, to feed their egos, maybe a very greedy person. Someone who kind of just habitually sort of uses and discards people. You may have been dealing with a narcissist up to this point. And even though that word is kind of like a big scary word and everybody usually sort of thinks, oh, the narcissist just continues to get away with things. They're the ultimate showman. They're like the wolf in sheep's clothing or the sheep in wolf's clothing, depending on how you want to look at things. But there's a sense of like time is up for this person. They don't see this coming. They assume that like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand has been up to. So it's maybe somebody that was even engaged in like shady business practices, or they've been like pitting other people in general against one another for like power or some kind of false sense of authority. And there's a sense of almost like that has come to a completion. They're gonna have like a misstep in some sort of way that shines a light on and brings the illusion of like this person's true character, their true motivations, or the ways in which this may have been somebody who has kind of built their success based on like bridges that were burned, kind of stringing people along, or sort of, it's almost the idea of like a Pied Piper kind of energy with the musician here, sort of like, they've been singing a particular tune and maybe getting people in their life in general to kind of look at them in a certain way, or again, sort of using this energy as to kind of wield this false sense of power against others that they see have overserved their utility and purpose, or that they perceive as being like obstacles or standing in the way of their success. So maybe somebody, again, that's like a very greedy energy. They don't feel that there's enough to go around. They don't just want a piece of the pie, but they feel entitled to all of it. And so there's a sense of almost like this coming to light in some sort of way. Like you've experienced negativity through this person. It feels like there may have been kind of a betrayal that was heartbreaking. in this circumstance, with the idea of like a double life. So this person could have been cheating, or could have even just been very unkind when you parted ways with one another, and created some sort of narrative or like a pity party that others had kind of flocked towards, maybe painting you out to be the villain in this circumstance in order to elicit sympathy from others, that has like opened doors of opportunity for them in some way, maybe stepping forth into a new relationship, or something where they've sold their sob story to other people, and this has made people kind of like feel sorry for them, and sort of give them extra opportunity, give them a helping hand, to try and offset what they may have sort of portrayed as like they were the one wronged, they were the one betrayed, they were the one heartbroken. And so it feels like this person has kind of just built a life entirely on lies. Their foundation as a person is just, it's false. And so there's a sense that the dots are starting to connect behind the scenes, or there may even be something like from this person's past, like a bridge that they burned from their past that they just sort of moved on from and assumed there would be no consequences. Other people that are not looking at this person in a favorable light. There may be people from this person's past that have been like keeping tabs on them, or have been seeing how they've been kind of the orchestrator or the puppet master within circumstances that benefited them, that was to the disadvantage of others. And this goes far beyond somebody who is just competitive or ambitious. This almost feels like somebody who strings people along and uses other people when it's convenient. People stay in their life only as long as there's like a utility or a purpose, and once that's been fulfilled or served, then they have no problem kind of leaving people worse for wear, or trying to come out on top in some sort of way by misconstruing circumstances that were like of their own creation. And so it feels like there's somebody else that is almost going to be, and the energy of like an avenging angel is coming in with this. So it's maybe like divine intervention, or again, somebody like from a previous chapter in this person's reality prior to the time when they got their hands on you and kind of created the damage that they did. It's like somebody else has been sort of lurking in the shadows, or contemplating some kind of like revenge, some kind of like vindication, something where it's like this person's number is up. They're going to have to face the music. They're going to have to face the false foundation that they've built. And there's a sense of almost kind of people that have only been sold on the illusion of this person are about to get a dose of reality, to see this person's true colors, or to understand like things don't add up, things don't match up. There may be people that are in more dire straits than you are from like a previous encounter of dealing with this person. And so there's a sense again of like, you may have a bone to pick with them, but it feels like there are other people that maybe in positions of authority or power, or the nature of the grievance or the trespass or the betrayal against them has motivated some kind of like balancing the scales of justice in this situation. And so there's a sense of, you may almost like hear about something, like hear through the grapevine that like, oh wow, this person got their karma, but it's not just for what happened with you, but this is almost like a big wave, almost like a domino effect that they have set in motion through how they've been kind of just stringing people along for a very long time. And so it feels like this is something that others are going to that have just kind of like assumed that the side of this person, or the face of them that was presented outwardly and what all that involved, that's like who they really are. But there's a sense of almost like that's going to be shaken, and it's about to be revealed to people that matter, people that are in positions of authority to keep certain doors of opportunity open for this person. Those people are almost going to see them from a new light. And there may be the withdrawal of assistance. This may be somebody that is forced to move. They could lose their job. They could have to like find other employment somewhere. This is something where it feels like people are going to take a big step back from this person. They may have drawn a lot of people to them with like a personality or some kind of charisma, like moths to a flame, but there's almost a sense of like a truth that's getting ready to come out that somebody else is going to be the agent of delivering out loud or making known, kind of like causing this person's house of cards to topple over. This is going to make people that were just kind of having blind faith, or were just sort of supporting this person based on kind of the side of the story they were telling about themselves and kind of what has led them to this point in time. All of that's going to be shown for what it really is. And this is somebody that, like, that support that they may have had, like safety in numbers, almost like groups of people, flying monkeys, you know, that are kind of like involved in sort of smear campaigns or you know, things that kind of boost this person's false light or false image. There's a sense of like the tables will turn, and it's something where people aren't going to want to touch this person with a 10-foot pole. They're gonna maybe even be considered to be like bad luck, whatever is kind of getting ready to happen, where they could lose financial support, they could lose like patronage from other people, something where it's almost like they may be forced to have like a 0-point reset, face the music, hit that rock bottom, build from the ground up. But it's not going to be as easy or as seamless of a process to get back to where they were, because all of the people that had kind of participated in sort of lifting this person up or protecting them or shielding them in some sort of way, it's almost like a lot of people are not going to want to have anything to do with them. And it's not because of what they did to you. This is almost like what they did to you, that is just a facet of this person's character, something that is just at the core of who they are, that is almost like the unchangeable aspect. Like, that's about to be revealed. If this person kind of heralded themselves as like a good guy or a good girl, or, you know, like a good person, that's about to be shown to not be the case. That was something just very artificial, or what other people might have just been sold on in terms of that idea of righteousness or goodness within this person. There's something that's about to be revealed that's going to cause these other people to have to use their critical thinking skills. And there may be a lot of people that are even sickened by the idea of like, I gave this person support, I put myself out there for this person, I opened a door of opportunity, I'm now associated with this person. So this is almost like fruit of the poisonous tree kind of energy right here, where again, it's a sense of like, it's not going to be so easy for them moving forward in life in general, like to continue to kind of just operate in the shadows or in this energy where they're painting a very pretty picture of themselves, but the reality is very different. So let's get a little bit more and see what else is in store for this person, karmically speaking, for betraying you or breaking your heart. Okay, we have Martyr, Lady of Masks, and Anubis. Yes, this is all about the energy of conclusions, endings. It's the end of that tune that they were singing. It's the end of just this kind of like blind support, trust in this person's authority and leadership, their character, or the mask that they've presented of like who they are. So this is somebody, you may be a person that would now be construed as like somebody from this person's past. Like if this was sort of a betrayal that isn't exactly recent, but it feels like there's somebody or even like a group of people that are buried even further in the woodwork, so to speak, than you are, where this person like doesn't even see this coming. These individuals, or this individual that in some sort of way, maybe somebody else that they kind of put in a rock bottom position, they created chaos and destruction for somebody who actually was able to become like a phoenix from the ashes, rise from those ashes and speak some sort of truth out loud that totally contradicts and the narrative that this person had portrayed, of like who they are, sort of where they've come from, their experiences in life, or ways that they may have had to kind of habitually sort of paint themselves out to be the victim and to demonize others. This is something that almost comes to light that shows people from this person's present reality that the individual they're dealing with, or they've placed their trust in, or that they've like aligned themselves with professionally or creatively, that's not who this person truly is. That the reality of them is uglier, it's darker, it's colder, it's very calculated and callous, and not in a way that speaks to ambitiousness, but in a way that it feels like is going to make other people within this person's current circle of reality, professionally, socially, it feels like these people are going to almost feel that this person is a liability, like to keep this person around or to keep their name associated with this person. There's a sense of like, that's bad luck. That's, you know, this person's name might be getting ready to be dragged through the mud in some kind of way. And they're not going to be able to sort of wield and deal their way out of this. They're not going to be able to do the usual song and dance that causes people to overlook the obvious, or kind of just be sold on this person's like charisma. There's a sense of people maybe feeling very tricked, very betrayed themselves, in terms of this is like valuable information or like key insights that might have informed certain individuals in their present to make different choices as far as this person is concerned. Like, if I knew this about your character, I never would have given you this opportunity. If I knew this about kind of how you deal with other people, I wouldn't have put myself in a position to be so close to you, or I may be the next one on the chopping block. I may be the next one to be betrayed in some sort of way. So it feels like social support is getting ready to be kind of taken away from this person, as well as some kind of clout that they thought they had, some level of respect or authority. It feels like that's getting ready to be diminished. People are going to like not listen to what this person has to say. Their words are not going to carry as much weight. This is somebody who's almost the way they are, it's almost like they hurt their own reputation, or their reputation is about to be kind of, the record's about to be set straight as far as that goes, which is going to cause a lot of people to rethink others that they've ostracized, others that they've demonized because of what this person's story was, like the tall tale that they told. This may even relate to individuals who kind of think back on the circumstance with you, and what comes to light about this person has them questioning everything, kind of like assumptions were made about you. There may have even been like people involved in a smear campaign about you, that once this other sort of person or group of people or information comes about, it's almost like people that were in this person's corner are going to start to think, wow, I really, misjudged a lot of things because I was just taking at face value what this person had to say, how they spun the narrative. I didn't do my research. I didn't stop to think, what would be this person's motivation? What would kind of account for the nature of what has occurred, or what they're presenting as the facts, or the history about something. So again, it's the idea of like an avenging angel, somebody that kind of comes through, somebody you might not even be aware of, a circumstance you're not aware of within this person's past, like the skeletons in this person's closet coming to life and sort of bombarding their current reality in order to create that vindication, to set those scales of justice in the right direction. So let's get one more just to close this out and see what else you need to know. Okay, and we have toil and labor. Yeah, so it feels like this person's job, this person's finance. Most importantly, though, because it's sitting over this energy of like Lady of the Masks, This is somebody who has painted a false portrait of themselves for a very long time. And they're about to be shown in the light of day, kind of for who they are, how they treat people. I'm hearing how they treat people who help them. So this may even be somebody that has something to bring forth in terms of that this person like cheated them in business, cheated them financially, might have slandered somebody or threw someone under the bus, scapegoated someone in order to like save themselves, or to kind of come out on top of something. And so it feels like this is almost like whistleblower energy from a previous chapter in this person's reality that brings their house of cards tumbling down. And it feels like it may be even sort of a long line of people, sort of like one person speaks up, other people come forth with the idea of like, yeah, me too. I've had similar experiences with this. It gets the wheels of gossip turning in a way that is not advantageous to this person. It's like the last thing they wanted to happen, last thing they wanted to come to light. But it feels like this person operates in such an energy of arrogance that they kind of just assume they could walk all over people or trample people, and kind of carry on, and that they were very unstoppable in that capacity. And so it feels like this is an experience of them getting humbled in a big way that may not yield any sort of like apologies for you. It feels like this person is kind of past the point of no return. They are not salvageable, basically. So it's unlikely that you're gonna, get your just desserts from this person. They're probably not going to reach out and with that epiphany or that kind of enlightened energy of what they've done and to try and make amends. But it feels like it's something where you're going to hear it through the grapevine. You might even see it on TV. It might be something publicized in that capacity, or some way the information reaches you to where it's not meant to sort of like take the sting away, or the sense of like hurt or whatever you've needed to do to kind of pick up the pieces of your reality in the aftermath of experiencing this person. But it's something where it's almost like it's going to make you feel less alone, less kind of like, why did this happen to me, or less kind of powerless in the face of almost what's coming through as like a face of evil. Like this person operates in a very just like self-serving to the point of being willing to hurt other people consciously, even to benefit themselves. And so there's something as far as like what you may have reflected on, or what you've come to the conclusion of about this situation, how you've compartmentalized it, or whatever it is you're still grappling with. There's something where it's almost like you're not the lone voice, you're not the only person that has been kind of demolished by this individual. And so it feels like now it's the time for them to be demolished. Now it is the time for all of that kind of negativity that they've generated in the world and in the lives of others to serve themselves. All of that comes tumbling back down. The sky literally falls on top of this person, and it feels like it's in a way that they're not able to just kind of scurry away from this and carry on. It would be very hard for this person to elicit the same kind of respect, the same kind of opportunities, the same kind of support that they've had up to this point in time, which in some sort of way, when you find this out, it may be of value to you in terms of like, okay, my suffering didn't go unnoticed. Like justice in some sort of way is done in the form of this person won't be able to get away with kind of hurting people like they've hurt you, like they've hurt other people, because now there's like enough light that is sort of shed on who they are, how they operate, and kind of like a trail of broken people that were left worse for wear that exist within this person's past, that when all of that data comes to light, it's going to be nearly impossible for people to just buy into that false narrative that they are the victim, or that they're the good guy, or they're the good girl. Like they're going to be seen for who they are in this energy of like the true villain in the circumstance, and in your life and in the lives of many others as well. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got T, O, U, P, E, B, A, Y, Q, T, X, L, G, P, G, Y, V, F, I, N, and A. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Topaz. So let's get right into it. The person on your mind that betrayed you or broke your heart, what is their karma for their actions? Okay, we have the aspirant, the forgotten, the brawler, and the tailor. So these energies I'm hearing too little too late. So it feels like this person is already cooking up an excuse for their behavior. They're already sort of sauntering back towards you. This is not someone who is course correcting, who has come to their senses and is like running at full speed towards you, but there's almost a sense of that they assume that they're a shoo-in as far as you'll take them back, you'll hear them out. Maybe you've put up with in the past like repeated instances of betrayal or heartbreak, and you've always given them another chance. There's a sense that they just assume you're very predictable, you're very easy to manipulate, that when they're good and ready, they'll come back around and find you exactly where they left you. And there's a sense of by the time they reach your door, you will have moved on, and this is going to cause this person to kick themselves because in some sort of way, it may even involve kind of like somebody who might be saying to themselves like, okay, now I'm ready for the love you had to offer. Okay, now I'm ready to build that life with you. Okay, now I've sown my oats. I've seen what's out there. You know, the grass was sometimes greener, sometimes it wasn't, but I know that I could always count on you to be that one I'd end up with eventually. I've sifted through my options and I've run the full kind of range of that, and so now I'm satisfied that you're the one that I want to be with. But there's a sense of almost like they've taken too long, or they will be taking too long when they kind of just move at a snail's pace back towards you, and in kind of almost like a lazy way or in a very complacent sort of way, to where they may reach out and like you've changed your phone number, you've moved, you've disconnected your social media, you closed out your email address, whatever you may be in the midst of doing, or maybe you've already turned the page to kind of just like cut your losses, that you've healed, you've up-leveled in some sort of way, that this person is just kind of, they're about to have that illusion shattered in the sense of when whatever they say when they come back in, it's almost like a response from you. If they're able to get through, if they're able to communicate, that's like, forget it. I wanted it when I wanted it, and now I don't want it anymore. Now I don't want you anymore. I reject you. I dismiss you. I cast you out into the cold. And it's not a place you can come back from. You're not welcome in my life. You're not welcome in my energy. You're not welcome in this new beginning that I have had to create for myself because of what you did. This is something almost of the energy of somebody that might have been keeping tabs on you and has kind of thought, okay, well, maybe they might have like blamed you for being the problem in this situation. Like, okay, well, there's obviously things you need to work through, things you need to heal from, things that you need to kind of deal with in your own life. They may have, painted you out to be the problem, or sort of like you force them to do the things that they did, or commit the betrayals, or break your heart in the way that they did. But it's almost like you're about to sort of school this person on the ways in which you've educated yourself emotionally. You've been doing that work, you've been doing that healing, and what they assume at this particular point in time, because it feels like they haven't evolved at all, or they're just sort of remaining very stagnant, just repeating patterns, repeating cycles. They're about to be almost kind of humbled in the sense of through that rejection, or through the sense of like they don't have anything to offer anymore because you're leveling up or you've matured in some sort of way. And now they'll be able to kind of see that you were always the blessing in disguise, which is where this energy of like kicking themselves comes in. You may have created such a profound new beginning for yourself, or you've alchemized or are working to kind of alchemize your pain into purpose, your wounds into wisdom. And there's a sense of this person kind of just seeing your glow up, or checking in periodically, and kind of thinking, okay, great, you're going to get to your peak moment. You're going to rise and shine, and then I'll kind of just sneak in the back door and it'll be like it was, but maybe I'll stick around longer this time, and we'll ride that wave that you've generated through your own emotional efforts up to this point. And there's a sense of those plans getting capsized because what they have to offer is very impoverished compared to what you have been able to generate for yourself, even just in terms of healing. Even if you're still in the process of trying to like rebuild your life or make changes, or this has motivated you to try and kind of choose better for yourself, like better people, better circumstances, a better relationship with yourself. It's almost like this is somebody in a wooden rowboat that's trying to go through like a typhoon in the middle of the ocean. That's the energy of like they're approaching you with just it feels like a very flimsy excuse, or maybe just a lot of assumptions, to where there's a sense of almost like you cutting them off or cutting access to you. It instigates some kind of process of this person may have never been the one rejected before. This person could be operating in like a very strong sense of ego. And so there's this energy of like you humbling them not being able to kind of like access you anymore. It's almost the energy of sort of like, I'll be everywhere that you can see, but nowhere that you can find. Like they won't be able to access you, or just on site, even if you've kind of maintained this possibility of like, okay, if they said or did the right things, maybe I'd give them another chance. It's almost like when this person next reemerges or kind of saunters back in and just assumes like, okay, now I'm ready to align. Now I'm ready for union. Now I'm ready for what comes next between the two of us, but they haven't done that work within. They've just been repeating the patterns over and over again. It's almost like they cancel themselves out of your equation. Like it's obviously not a match. They may come in just very raggedy, very, very much in like an energy where on site, or even if, they're communicating via text or email, it's repellent to you. It becomes very obvious. It's almost like this person puts the final nail in their own coffin as far as being ejected from your narrative in this life, maybe even closing out like a long-term past life karmic cycle with this person, that the echo of that, the ripple effect of that, it feels like this is a lesson that they won't forget. Something that they'll be kicking themselves about until the end of their days, because they will be able to kind of see you in your glory. They'll be able to see your star on the rise and know, I could have had a front row seat to the experience of that person. I had that at one particular point in time. And because of my own hubris, because of my own ego, because of my own wounding, because of my own selfishness, I chose to kind of pursue what felt good in the moment and push aside something of value. And so it's almost like the sight of your life, the way in which your life is going to be getting better. Things are on an uphill climb for you. Your narrative arc is shifting in a positive direction, where this person's getting ready to be capsized. And it may be very necessary as like the beginning of a big karmic cycle for them. It's maybe the first time they've been humbled, where they just assume they're the cat's meow. They're the best thing ever. They're the most attractive. They're the most successful. They would be anybody's first choice. And it's almost like you're the person then that rejects. You not only don't choose them, but there's a sense of almost you dismiss this person, or your actions up to this point have created not just a roadblock to accessing you, but where like access is cut off entirely. And that may be something that's very, very humbling for this person, that causes them to rethink sort of what they've done with you or to you in the past, and then the time apart from one another, and kind of how that wasn't used in any sort of way for like self-reflection or to better themselves. So they may be starting like from the ground up in terms of that self-reflection, getting into those shadows, getting into that dark night of the soul like you had gone through. But there's a sense of no matter what they do, they'll be constantly kicking themselves because they will not be able to catch up with you or state their case in a way that it feels like would be compelling or of interest to you to take them back or to give them another chance. It's like game over for this person, and they're about to have that rude awakening. So let's see what else you need to know as far as their karma. Okay, we have the Morrigan, Golden Empress, and Mother of the Dawn. Yeah, so this is the energy of your star is on the rise, and their karma is to have to just be somebody in your audience. And I'm hearing in the cheap seats. So it may even be something where the level that your life is getting ready to expand into, the people you'll come into contact with, the experiences you'll have, opportunities that you're able to call in or create for yourself, are going to shine brighter or be more fulfilling or more abundant or more prosperous, or just infuse you with a level of authenticity and joy that causes you to be very radiant. This person's going to look dusty compared to you. It's almost something to where people will not sort of look at this person compared to you and think it was your loss. It's like it was never your loss. It might almost be something where things that are getting ready to manifest or that you're calling into your reality, when you have that point of comparison with this person, when they kind of skulk back in, they kind of rise from the dead and attempt to rekindle a connection with you. It's like you see them for who they are, gold-plated, cheap, something that doesn't align with kind of what it is that you have forged within yourself, what you now value, what you now demand out of your interpersonal relationships. It's almost like you've snatched your power back and you've enhanced that personal power in a way that this person's karma also might be like, they can't even look you in the eye. They can't even face you directly. There's a sense of almost feeling that being in your presence in some sort of way, they may feel that like the divine is mocking them, or that God is very angry at them. It's almost like they left you in the dirt, they broke you down, they betrayed you, they broke your heart, but then you've built yourself back up, or you've co-created this kind of resurrection of yourself with the divine. And there may even be such blessings or such experiences that are so contrary to what this person in the past provided to you, that there's some part of them that understands, like, I'm going to have to answer for this for multiple lifetimes, even if they don't think in terms of like past lives or like long-term consequences, at like a soul level. You're going to make this person start to think about that. Their attention is going to start to shift in this way, which the karmic lesson from that can almost be like, okay, you've created misery for this person, or you took this person's kindness for weakness, or they offered you love and you gave them pain in exchange for that. And this is almost like setting in motion kind of a long count journey of having to move through the many facets of suffering as it can be experienced within human reality. That it's sort of like the last glimpse that they have of you. It may even be something where you're getting ready to kind of ascend into a position where you could be a public figure, you could get a lot of public notoriety or recognition, or just something where it's very glaring and in their face, where even if they're hiding out in the shadows or making like an effort not to kind of seek you out or look you up, this information, the awareness of you may just be everywhere. It may just come to them. And it feels like there's almost a tortured energy to that, or they're feeling very haunted by that. Very much the sense of like, I had a diamond and I threw it back in the ocean so I could play around with pebbles. And at the end of the day, there's a sense of like they're understanding that you were the diamond in the rough the whole time. You were the treasure the whole time. That they magnetized you into their experience at one point in time because you were equilateral with one another. There was the ability to like both uplift one another, or have the love story between you turn into something very beautiful. And they've assigned themselves to a particular fated path now. It's kind of like they can live their life, but there's almost going to be a sense of foreboding, like a doom that they sense of kind of like, my next incarnations, the next series of them, I'm going to have to answer for this. I'm going to have to go through the experience of what I put this person through. I'm not going to be on top anymore, but I'm now having to see life from the bottom. It's almost like in real time they're going to recognize this energy of kind of like they put themselves first above you in this situation, and now they're counted out. Now they're last in line. Now they're just sitting in the cheap seats watching you live your best life without them, and like there's no place for them within that. So it feels like some kind of concept or an understanding, or like a glimpse or a vision or something, where the universe then becomes very relentless in kind of showing this person like, see how this individual thrived without you. See how you were the problem in the situation and they were not, or they were able to take kind of problematic circumstances and use them to their advantage, whereas you just continue to sort of be stifled and stagnant within that misery. That's going to be something that almost like prods them in the direction of, you could have a fan for life out of this person, where they're then tossed about in the essence of like, look what you could have had, but you let it go. Look what you could have had, but you tarnished that. Look what you could have had, and you wasted that opportunity. So let's get one more just to see what else you need to know about the situation. Okay, we have unexpected income. Yeah, so this person is going to have to watch your success. They're going to have to watch you achieve all your dreams. They're going to have to watch you exceed the expectations that they had placed upon you or others had placed upon you, as far as what you were able to accomplish in this life, the joy you were able to cultivate, how you're able to like pick yourself up out of unfortunate circumstances that this person put you in, or that you'd been going through in general. All of that, every one of your victories, it feels like is going to be like an anvil dropping on this person's head. It's going to really hit that message home of how poor of a judge of character that they were by fumbling somebody that was an asset. You were that treasure the whole time. They treated you like trash. And so there's a sense of, because of that, now they get to sit on the curb along with the other kind of like discarded things, the refuse, that which is not good enough to be invited or welcome to the table of abundance that the universe is helping you co-create for yourself. With this energy, I'm hearing I did it myself. So despite what this person put you through, despite, ways in which they might have tried to convince you, like, you won't survive without me, or, I'm the gift in this situation, and you should feel lucky for everything that I've done for you, or for my presence, they're about to see that, like, no, actually the opposite's the case. Because what you're getting ready to achieve or to accomplish, it feels like on this person's best day, at their most brilliant idea, when they're giving it their all, they couldn't even hold a candle to what you've done in the midst of being broken, in the midst of trying to, like, pick up the pieces of your life, or while trying to heal some substantial heartbreak. And you're doing that, or you will do that, and it's going to cause all areas of your life to flourish and to be abundant. People to run towards you with opportunities, people wanting to be seen by you, you being celebrated, you being surrounded by people who know your value, know your worth the first time around, that aren't playing with that, but are, like, holding you close and protecting you like any sane person would with a treasure. And so this person's karma is to be that witness, that unfortunate witness in the cheap seats, in whatever else they have going on in their life, even if, they kind of, like, create their dream reality and everything looks really good on paper. There's going to be a part of this person that is very, like, fixated on you, that the universe won't let them look away, because there's a sense of, like, you see that person, you see what they've become despite everything you've put them through. You're going to have to answer to that. You're going to have to answer for the ways in which you created difficulties for this individual, that because they are who they are, they overcame those things, or they made the most of those things, but you're not getting off unscathed. And this is almost the idea of, through a multiplicity of lifetimes, or through a multiplicity of experiences, the universe is really going to hit that message home to this person, so that their soul evolution can start to trend towards being more careful with the people that the universe blesses them with, being more careful with how they treat others, or how they dismiss others, or how they kind of don't sort of operate in the best interest of others. All of that, it feels like, is getting ready to inform a series of lifetimes to come, that your story with one another may conclude in this lifetime, but it's a sense of, like, they're not going to be able to outrun kind of the energetic stain that they have created in this situation, that the universe is very hungry to kind of, like, balance those scales in some sort of way. And so watching you succeed, watching you get everything you want, watching you create your dream life, that's just the beginning. Like, the remainder of this lifetime for them, it's just the beginning of the ways in which the universe is going to sort of make them pay, in the form of the denial of opportunities, or not being able to get access to, or get their hands on, or get close to people that carry such resilience as you do, the light that you do. They chose almost like a cheap path, and so it feels like they'll be, if there's new people that come into their life, these are going to be costly errors, cheap friendships, cheap thrills, nothing of real substance and value, because they've proven they can't be entrusted with that. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We got S, D, Z, I, P, W, T, N, D, L, R, H, G, M, Y, and T. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Prehnite So let's get right into it and take a look at the energies of what is the karma for the person who has betrayed you or has broken your heart. Okay, we have the scholar, the smith, the diviner, and the chiromancer. So these energies, I'm hearing, I sold you out for nothing. And so it feels like if there were like a third party involved in this situation, maybe they left you high and dry, they cheated or left you for another person. It's almost like that person's true colors are getting ready to come out, and this person is gonna realize that they just got themselves in a trap. Maybe somebody baby trapped them, or they entangled their finances with somebody that is getting ready to screw them over, take them for everything. If this is like a marriage, it's maybe somebody that's getting ready to get divorced or to be served with divorce papers, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna cause their world to come crashing down. This is almost as somebody who may be getting a taste of their own medicine as well. They may be with somebody currently, and if they're not with anyone currently, then it's almost like another person comes into their life or into their reality that takes them for a ride, schools them on, I'm hearing, malignant narcissists. So this may be somebody, you know, that caused a lot of damage to you emotionally, psychologically, energetically, actually. And it's a sense of like, this is somebody who's getting ready to meet themselves in another person. They're getting ready to experience firsthand the type of long-term or even lasting damage that encountering people like this does to others. And there's a sense of there's not going to be anyone to blame. There's not going to be anyone that they can kind of pass the buck along to. This is somebody who's going to have to like recognize I'm forced to sleep in the bed that I've made, but I've put myself there. I put myself in a corner, and there's almost like no way out. Like the usual kind of escape routes that this person may have if they're kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out of relationships. All of that's getting ready to take on a more serious or permanent tone. It may be something that also kind of impacts their finances as far as like child support, alimony, legal costs, as far as like a connection that is getting ready to fall apart, or somebody that's going to come into their reality shortly that will eventually kind of take this person to the cleaners, take them for everything that they've got. They're getting ready to get that very sharp lesson on what it means when you take other people's like kindness for weakness, or what the consequences are when you let the wrong one in. So it feels like this person is kind of operating in the energy of delusion that they are the gift, they're the prize. It feels like they have kind of just moved on from the situation with you in a very unbothered capacity. This is definitely like out of sight, out of mind energy. That even though they've kind of just carried on and you've been forced to sort of sit with the grief or whatever is needed to kind of happen in order to create some stability or regularity for yourself, it's almost like none of that went unnoticed. Like this person may think that they've gotten off scot-free in some sort of way, but there's a sense of like the universe has kept tabs on all of that. The universe has seen kind of like what they prioritize, the energy that they put out is getting ready to come back around to them full circle. These little kind of seeds of negativity that they have sown in your life, this is something that it's getting ready to sprout into a very unpleasant harvest in their life. This may be something that you could have warned them about certain things or certain people, and they chose to kind of push you aside and move in another direction. This may have been something where you could have had like prophetic dreams about this. You've gotten downloads. There's like a lot of signs and synchronicities. It feels that you won't necessarily hear about this person's demise or misery or their collapse. You won't hear about that in the material world. There won't be news that comes in, but you are going to get that collaborative sort of effort to have that message communicated through your spirit guides, through your own intuitive knowing, through something it feels like that shifts within you, almost like a weight that is lifted off of you as this person is kind of pulled under by the nature of their self-created reality that might have seemed very advantageous to them at one point in time, or was something they just were like tricked into or blindly entered into. But it's almost like something very unescapable. Like the writing will be on the wall of kind of the choices that they've made. This can be something where this is like attracts like, and in the form of another partner, they're about to get a harsh dose of reality in terms of like who they are beyond the illusion that they have painted to the world. What they've kind of put out is coming back around to them full circle. Almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, that this is kind of like the energy of sort of be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. That this person may be sort of in a circumstance that if you're able to sort of check up on them or look into things, it may look on paper like, oh wow, they moved on, they got this happy household, they're playing house with someone, they got this little life that they built. But there's a sense of like all of that in some way is a facade, and it's not this person that is going to bring that crashing down. It's actually the person that they're with is kind of almost in a way like the partner that they're currently with, or the person that they will next be with, is kind of your best friend. And maybe that's literal. Maybe this is somebody like ran off with somebody's best friend, and so that person could be kind of the agent of sort of delivering this divine karma in some sort of way. But it's almost like whoever it is, even if it's somebody that like you don't know, or you just kind of know like on the surface, or you're aware of who they are, it's almost like that person is the best friend of your wounds, because that person, this new person, this third party, they're just going to be themselves. They're going to operate in their own kind of energy, just as they are, which in some sort of way presents as almost like everything this person that has betrayed and hurt you and has broken your heart, it may come in the form of like, that's everything that I was seeking. I'm living my best life. I've got my happily ever after. And then it's like a rude awakening of how that perfect picture is going to be smashed by the person that's almost like sleeping with the enemy. This is a sense of kind of like betrayal comes from within that household, or some kind of like crippling circumstances come from within that household. That this isn't just somebody who's kind of like abandoned and left high and dry, but there may be manipulation tactics, or somebody that just goes to the extreme of like, whenever this third party is kind of like done with this individual, they're going to make them pay. They're going to make them pay financially. They may do things to kind of ruin this person's reputation. They may bring up things about this person's parenting style or how they are as a partner that could cause them like public humiliation in some sort of way, or cause them to be like socially ostracized in some manner. Or at the very least, it may be a messy divorce, something where this person is needing to like pick up and relocate somewhere else, or gets kind of a very, what they may portray as like an unfair deal. They get the short end of the stick, financially speaking, or in terms of how things are sort of settled or worked out. But there's a sense of almost like, it's not really unfair to this person, because they're just being handed back that same kind of misery that like they have put you through. So let's get a little deeper into this and see what else you need to know about this person's karma. Okay, so we have El Shaddai, the Prince, and the Maestro. Yeah, so this idea with the Maestro here, and kind of an essence of sort of a symphony that begins. This person's going to be forced to change their tune, as far as they may be somebody that in the aftermath of kind of whatever it is that falls apart for them romantically, that has to do with then the life that they're living. This may be something that kind of causes them to swear off love and relationships altogether. They may go into like a very like hermit mode, where they can't trust anyone anymore. It creates trust issues in them, just as they may have created trust issues within you through their conduct, through whatever it is they did. It's like this is getting ready to happen to them. They're going to walk more than a mile in your shoes. There's a sense of almost kind of like this person sort of is needing to kind of go internally and reflect, or their conduct outside of themselves as far as you are concerned and other things has kind of called towards them something that may just present the illusion of like ideal circumstances, or like they're on top of the world, or you know, they have everything they want. There may be a lot of effort that's involved as well prior to something that kind of is torn asunder. A lot of energy and effort going into, and maybe even resources that are sort of pulled from this person to invest in creating the perfect image for others, the perfect family, the perfect couple. And then it feels like they may almost be dealing with someone who themselves could be very duplicitous, who again could kind of like take this person for a ride in terms of child support, child custody, divorce, division of assets, things of that nature, that it's almost like a formidable adversary that this person is kind of calling into their own reality. They're calling judgment into their own reality and operating off of this place of like, hey, I got everything I wanted to. I created my dream life. I'm the king of my castle. I'm the queen of my castle. I'm sort of the ruler of my own reality. And it's like the show's just getting ready to get started. It may be a long, drawn out divorce. It may be things that, again, cause this person to sort of change their tune in some sort of way, where they may be at the end of all of that sort of like turned off to relationships in general. So it's almost kind of like the karma is the sense of like they're going to be so disillusioned that they're not going to be able to run game on people the same way that they did with you, or like they think that they have done or are trying to do or are to some extent doing with this third party that actually is to the benefit of kind of creating karmic balance in this situation. Because it's like this person has done you so dirty that it's almost like this like eye for an eye kind of energy, like the universe sort of feeling, and maybe this is just how this person has been operating. They left a trail of heartbreaks in their wake. They're kind of always on to the next best thing, and so it feels like someone's getting ready to come and kind of spin the block on them, show them that that they're not sort of the authority on kind of others' well-being. They don't have the right to kind of use and discard people, or if they exercise their free will to do that, that the universe has something to say about that. This is almost the energy of like enough is enough. You might have been the straw that broke the camel's back as far as like other people in this person's past who have been kind of like used and discarded, or different things that they've done, that it's almost like they're needing to be humbled in some sort of way that is not just kind of like a quick loss, but something that may be very like a symphony, long, drawn out production, a lot of drama, things that kind of change the level of comfort or the life that they're living in general, in terms of like stress, things they need to go through. There may be like, people slandering one another and smear campaigns, and it feels like just like a nasty divorce, an ugly divorce, difficulty co-parenting, like that component of their life where they thought they just would move on and have that happily ever after with someone else. There's the sense of almost like that's not going to come to pass. That is actually something where the primary kind of energy of interference, it's that person that they're building with, that person's character or morals, or maybe even that person saying enough is enough for this individual someday and giving them a taste of their own medicine. This is almost the energy of, you may have been dealing with someone who is very self-serving, very selfish, and they're calling in a partner who is equally, if not more self-serving, more selfish, more conniving, more heartless. And so there's a sense of like taste of the own medicine. You get what you give. So let's get one more card and see what else you need to know about the situation. Okay, we have child. Yeah, so this could be somebody that's getting ready to be baby trapped by an absolute monster. This could be somebody that is, getting ready to experience their worst fear, their worst nightmare in terms of them in another person, and they find themselves in a romantic relationship. Whatever the experience is, it feels like it would be something more than just dating. So it's like they find themselves in a toxic marriage where they're bringing in toxicity, but they're dealing with someone who is also poisonous, if not more poisonous. Maybe somebody that like pits their children against them, makes accusations and kind of limits the ability of this person to co-parent. It may be something that's very costly, the nature of like the life that needs to be built, and then the cost of when that life falls apart. This person may be sort of objectified, turned into a workhorse, valued only as a pocketbook, as a bank account, as kind of the provider in the situation. They may be sold on a dream of like, hey, we're doing this together, we're two ambitious people, but it's almost like whoever it is that they hook up with, or they marry, or they start a family with, that person very quickly will then sort of change up on this person, and it will become quite apparent that it's like, okay, they've got an adult dependent, they've then not got children that are dependents, like they're the only one kind of overexerting themselves in order to build or maintain a certain lifestyle or a certain appearance. There may be something where this person's ability to like freely express themselves is extinguished in some sort of way. They have to just play the role that the other party dictates for them. So something where, their identity, their autonomy, all of that is kind of twisted and reshaped in a sense that they'll feel very entrapped within their circumstance. It's all smiles in the photos, but then like tension and a sense of being trapped behind the scenes. All of that being the karma for the sense that like they've broken your heart or betrayed you. And even if you've carried on in your life, that experience is still trapped with you. It is a memory that you will continue to carry with you for the rest of your days. It has informed and shaped the way that you approach love and partnerships, or maybe even trust issues that have been created within you through this person. They're getting ready to have that occur to them. It feels like in a way that I'm hearing mind-boggling. So this person could really like lose everything because they chose the wrong partner. They discarded you for someone who turned out to be like the worst option or the worst person. The manifestation and embodiment of all of this person's shadows in another human being, where it's like the punishment is they're confronted with the worst within themselves in another person. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. I've got U, T, O, W, F, D, B, D, R, C, T, P, Y, M, B, S, M, and P. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.